Let's talk about limitations. There aren't any.
You're serious about this?
I am. I'm going to do it.
Hey Tri Team, Julie Moss here, and let's talk Tri. And we have a very special guest with us, Dan Martins. Dan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Julie.
And I'm literally just meeting you for the first time, and this is great because I've got a lot of questions for you.
I'm ready to answer them all.
Okay, well, first tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a Navy helicopter pilot.
Oh, wait a minute. Cool alert, cool alert. I mean, triathletes think they're pretty cool, but Navy helicopter / triathlete ups the ante.
It's a job, it's a living, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. So that's my day job.
Okay.
And tries are doing triathlons are a nice way to kind of have a goal and focus outside of what I do every day for work.
So you have done a half Ironman distance race?
Yes, I have.
But you're jumping up to the full Ironman distance, and
Yes.
is this your first time?
This will be my first Ironman. So last summer I finished the Cambridge half in Maryland, and about a month after that we knew we were coming back to San Diego, and so my wife and I were like, let's go take a vacation to Santa Rosa, and we registered. I registered for the Santa Rosa Ironman.
Okay. Tell us about your introduction to triathlon.
So I met some Navy friends in flight school, and they did triathlons, and they were really focused on it. They did it at the Naval Academy, and they kind of got me hooked on it. And so I did an Olympic distance as my first race, and I had a lot of fun doing it. It was the Oceanside Olympic distance. You got to ride all on Camp Pendleton and through all the hills, and I did it with no bike shorts and a mountain bike, and it was a lot of fun. And then after doing that one, I did the half the next time the Oceanside.
That's a
half
big
came
jump,
around.
but you're obviously physically fit, and you've got the mentality. And by the way, thank you for your service.
Oh no,
very cool.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, and so I went on a long hiatus with deployments and things like that, and next thing you know, my wife Elizabeth is working on the film Try.
Yeah, that's where I met her.
And I was like, well, I used to do those. I bet I could probably do one. And so I registered for the Cambridge half.
Okay.
And I did that last year.
Well, thank goodness for the movie Try to reintroduce you to triathlon.
It was awesome.
And here you are doing your first Ironman. So let me just ask you a couple of training questions.
Sure.
What I love is the fact that we talked earlier on about how you can keep it simple doing your first triathlon. Borrow a bike, mountain bike. You didn't even invest in the bike shorts. You just,
No,
you weren't in a Speedo, were you?
No.
Okay. Well, that's kind of retro.
I did wear a spring suit that I had for surfing.
Okay.
So
All right. Perfect.
I did wear a wetsuit for the first one. It was in the Del Mar Boat Basin.
Okay.
So it's a little chilly.
Yes, it is.
In April. So still had a wetsuit.
All
but
right.
yeah.
It's funny because I ride through Camp Pendleton on a weekly basis, and every once in a while, they shut us down for naval maneuvers.
Sure.
We just got shut down, and I was literally going up to Newport Beach to spend the night with a friend, and then have a day in Newport, and then ride back. And of course, I had to get off at Las Pulgas, which is where the Naval Exercises were between North San Diego County and San Clemente, and ride on the freeway, and that's a little unnerving.
Yeah.
However, and I figured 2 days later, those exercises are still going on.
Oh man!
But it was really, I had a really good view. Up on the freeway, you're higher
yeah,
up,
you can see what everybody's doing.
Yeah, and the helicopters were in full force. They were carrying cargo from the ship that was based out in the water.
Well, I'm glad they shut down the bike path because nobody wants things falling near bicycles.
You go. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I had a blast doing that Camp Penn. I loved riding through Camp Pendleton. I love it when they open up the base, and I mean the hills are suffering, but it was a blast. I enjoyed it.
Well, you and I are both training for an Ironman. I just did one in Texas, April 22nd. So I have to tell you that laid down some really good tracks, and my training was really spot on, and it's given me a lot of confidence now to turn around and do some more training blocks to get ready for Kona. So your race is
End of July.
End of July.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, the wonderful people, because it's the Santa Rosa race is an Ironman race, and
Yes.
so they're trying something new, and so they, you know, gave me a training plan, and I kind of stuck to that.
Great. Great.
And so it was really easy to kind of just, because it's just broken out. Hey, it tells you to go run for a half hour, go bike for, you know, whatever distance, and or whatever time, and it was easy to follow. There was no like hidden secret trick to it. It was just like spend the time
Right.
doing the swimming and the biking and the running, and you'll get there. So,
And how many weeks was the program?
so it was a 6-month program.
Oh, so okay, that's great. Yeah.
So I
that,
started way back in January, February.
So it really built you up slowly.
Mhm.
So you're now getting into, well, you're almost past the meat and potatoes. You've just had a 2-week trip relocating back out
Yes.
here to Coronado for
Yeah.
for work. And so what's your big day coming up? What's the big week coming up?
So I missed a 5.5 hour ride, and but I've already done the max runs. So the 2 hour and 30-minute runs, I've hit those the last month. So I'm gonna just kind of retread and make sure my body's ready, and go back to the 4-hour runs, and then keep running off the bicycle. Spend some time in the hills in South County,
Right.
because I'm down.
You're there.
I'm down there. So really, it's going to be spend some time in the hills, make sure I've maintained the level of fitness I've built up, and really July is supposed to be a taper
Okay,
for
good.
me. So like, you know,
Yeah.
it's I'm not supposed to be, doing. I'm missing a swim. I'm missing a really long swim, but now I have San Diego Bay, and I have
Yes, you do.
Coronado, and I'll be able to actually get into open water.
You know, there's a swim coming up, but I think it's too late for you. They've got a great swim up in Oceanside called the Tiki Swim.
Oh, nice.
2.4 miles, and they start by the pier, or south of the pier, and then you swim into the harbor and come around and do the same exit that they use
Okay,
for
cool.
the 70.3 in Oceanside. So,
Mhm.
but that's waiting for you afterwards,
Yeah.
because you never know. After this Ironman, you may be punching a ticket somewhere.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I know there's Santa Rosa, and then I'll look forward to doing the Oceanside half again.
Okay, good.
So
Now you already registered for that.
no, I have to.
You better register.
I know.
It fills up quick.
I know the Ironman is doing something new. Like, they have the team. So since I'm part of T3 Hanu,
Oh, good.
they're given like spots. Like, you have early registration and tier pricing
good.
now. So I should be able to hopefully.
So Dan, I'm with a VIP, obviously here.
No.
Yeah. That's
I ride the coattails of T3 Hanu, which.
Tell us a little bit about T3 Hanu.
So I think they were the team that was formed by a couple of folks in DC, and the producer and film maker of Try was a member of that team.
Theodore Adams III. Yes.
And so, because Elizabeth worked with Ted and the Unified team and the Red Zeppelin Productions, Ted's like, "You're training for this, why don't you come and work out with us?" And it was actually, I had always done all my workouts on my own, and it was very helpful to have a team to like show you new bike rides. And it's really,
Yep.
if anything, those long bike rides with a team are really nice, because you're not getting lost on your own.
Exactly.
And so and it was great. It was a kind of it's a no pressure team, so we can kind of, everybody has
No cut.
a family.
No cut team.
No. Everybody has a family, have things they need to do for work, and so but it was great meeting and hanging out and biking with some folks. And so T3 Hanu kind of helped me build some of those long rides into my training plan, and get out and see some of Virginia and Maryland at the same time.
Well, as a newcomer to San Diego, I'd really recommend you go onto the Tri Club of San Diego's website. They have group training. They do a lot of workouts in the South area. I think Fiesta Island, they do some stuff. They maybe even do a team triathlon there. It's a great community.
Cool.
I mean, way up here in North County, we also have sort of a nice triathlon community of people, but I think that's what makes it fun, right?
Yeah.
When you can tap into your
It is nice to be able
fellow
to go
athletes.
and ride with folks who are working to maybe not the same goal as you, but at least out there to have fun and ride.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the questions we kind of pose to our viewers is like, we don't want to make this scary because it's a little intimidating.
Sure.
And as a Navy pilot, I'm thinking helicopter pilot, you're probably thinking, the viewers are thinking, well, what's going to scare this guy? Is there anything that really had you intimidated about taking on triathlon, especially jumping up to this Ironman distance?
The biggest thing was the time that you have to put into it.
Good point.
I've always been a strong swimmer, so I was never really worried about the swim. I'm a slow biker, and so I just accept that. And I'm not a very fast runner at all. So, I'm in it to compete against myself. So like the whole the kind of mentality that you're racing everybody on the course. For my my peer group, it's really I'm just racing myself. So the thing that was kind of daunting was being able to carve out that work home life
balance.
And training balance. And the great thing is my family's been super supportive, and it's just you have to build in that time and thing, and that's I think that's the hardest thing, because I think for me at least, if once I set out to do it, I'm gonna do it, and it's just making sure that I don't get hurt on the way.
Right.
Like you can go out and try anything, but you just want to make the time investment so that
Exactly.
you don't go out there on race day and then hurt
You don't want to
yourself.
you don't want to be diminished even
Yeah.
before you start. Getting injured in the process, or as you said, to kind of get out there and get hurt. And I think I agree with
The marathon thing though is scary though. I've never run a marathon.
Well, I've never run a marathon that I was really actually enjoying until this last race in Texas. And part of that was doing a lot of runs off the bike, and my body just kind of got used to that. That's kind of what you do now.
Yeah.
Before it was like, oh, I just hope it goes okay. But I think the fact that you're doing transition runs is really, it lays down a memory. And the first couple miles are always rough, and then it just sort of smooths out, and you think, oh, okay. With aid stations every mile, that makes a big difference.
It's beautiful.
That'll be a nice thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like knowing that you mentally just going, I'm going to keep running until I get to an aid station, and then I'm going to walk.
Well, see, yeah, that's different than a marathon, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I tell a lot of people, and they say, oh, what do you think about the marathon? I said, I don't think about it as a marathon. I think about it as getting from one aid station to the next. Or if it's a looped course, it's just one loop. I'll deal with the second loop the second time. Let me get through this first loop, the second loop, and in Texas it was 3 loops, and by the third loop I was like, wait a minute, where's the angst and all the drama? It's just pretty much feels like the first two.
Yeah.
And
I was going to ask you what you do mentally when you're running, because that's my weakest, just because and how do you stay focused?
Okay, I did one workout that, and I don't know if it'll fit in with your schedule because you're sort of tapering now, but one of my rides, somehow it got cut short by an hour, and I was going to run a half hour to 45 minutes off the bike. And I thought, well, my ride's been cut short, and if it's 3 loops, and I'm sort of thinking 4-hour range on the marathon, that's about an hour 20. So let me just start running an hour 20. And even then, it's like, I don't want to run an hour 20. I can only run out 40 minutes, and I'll figure out a way to get back. And having laid down a positive run that felt strong, it felt like it kept getting stronger, I know that's one loop. And that's how I went to Texas. I landed in Texas knowing I can run 1 loop. I can probably run 2. The third, I don't know. That is going to have to be revealed.
Yes.
And those 3-hour runs, those 18-mile runs, they kicked in. And so by mile 18, I wasn't fresh and ready to hammer, but I was feeling like I'm in control. Like I'm not going to slow down. I don't have to pick it up, but I'm not going to slow down, and I'm not going to break down.
Yeah. I think some of the things I've figured out training is because you always have, for me at least, you always have this, I want to go longer, I want to go farther.
Especially as you get stronger and you get further down the program.
And the thing I've noticed is like getting closer to, the actual event is like you get in and you do your workout that's supposed to be a shorter workout, and you feel like you have more in the tank, and that's kind of like a nice feeling.
It is a nice feeling. But that's also that little gray area where people can start to say, oh, let's ride a little longer. So the fact that you are sort of being really dogmatic about following exactly what it tells you to do on each day will serve you. And you can't make it up, right? I think that's how the program works. You can't miss a ride or a swim and then say, okay, well, I'm gonna, it's like, it's kind of, it's in the past.
Yeah, I mean, because the way the training plan, you build up to a peak in a certain month, and then you taper down
Right.
from that peak in the month. And so while I will try and catch up a little bit based on, traveling for the last 2
Right.
weeks, I'm not going to go reinvent a training plan.
Right.
I'm just going to,
Right.
I'm going to pick it up on Monday and see what happens.
Yeah. And
it's gonna go.
what you underestimate is being able to bank recovery. And so you've banked some recovery now. So I think don't be surprised if when you start on Monday, you're kind of feeling on fire. You might just sort of like, okay, this is how I'm supposed to feel on race day. So try and take some cues from what may have seemed like a negative, missing 2 weeks of training, and try and build in some positive cues. But I'm all about turning it into a positive. I really think that's my strength now. I can put in the miles. I have the time now. My son has moved away, and actually he's here visiting right now, and he's
Cool.
out on a 100-mile ride or 85-mile ride right now. And which is, I keep thinking about him out there, and I'm hoping he's enjoying it because it's up to Palomar Mountain and
wow.
down, and he will be doing his very first Ironman
That's
in
awesome.
Korea in September 10th.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
I know. So it's like he's the same age I was when I did my first triathlon at 23, and so I really think it's pretty amazing to have these generations kind of just come back together. And here we're talking like fine points of training, but at 23 I didn't have the strong mind to do the training and have the follow through. Now at 58 I have the strong mind. My body resists some of that, but it still kind of goes along. But the one thing I've taken away, which I'm sharing with you right now and with our listeners, is that your mind is your strongest asset, and your body will follow along with most anything you tell it to do. And if you can frame it in a good way, I mean, it just makes it for a really long day to be a great day. I mean, and great, not necessarily like, oh, I'm so happy the whole time and it's so easy. No, but deeply, deeply satisfying and well worth the time and sacrifice you put into it.
And it's fun. It's just a fun time. I mean, yes, you're like, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I feel miserable. There's some chafing going on, but you're seeing other folks out there on the course, and all ages, all age groups.
Yeah.
And that's just motivating, like, watching somebody pass you on the bike with a number on their calf that, is, maybe double yours, just crushing it and leaving you in the dust. And you're just like, wow, I hope I can catch you on the run.
Okay, so what's coming to mind is that you've got this background, this military background.
Sure.
What do you think that the military has given you that you can now take and take into your race?
Honestly, I think it's just the discipline of following through on the training, and making sure you devote the time to that training, and then things are going to happen that are outside your control.
Absolutely.
And on race day, and you just have to adjust, and you have to go out there with the intentions of whatever happens, I'm going to do my best to push through it. Like, I may not have the best swim, or
No, but you're a good swimmer.
but
You're
I'm
going to have a good swim.
but you get a flat tire in the course, you're not going to crush the bike because you're going to take 5 minutes and fix your tire. That kind of stuff's going to happen, and you just can't let it ruin your day.
Here, one little piece of advice: know what 7 bike lengths is. I wasn't quite clear on that in Texas, and we got pretty strung out, and there was only one rider ahead of me, and I thought mentally, I just need to lock on to somebody and sort of feel like I'm riding with somebody. Well, I guess I didn't quite have 7 bike lengths down.
Yeah.
So I did spend 5 minutes in the sin bin. Like, we don't call it sin bin, penalty box.
Yep.
And actually, that
I
was
learned what
yeah.
the drafting rule when on the check-in, and I'm like,
Okay.
okay, hopefully this isn't
Yeah,
an
somebody
issue.
like physically show me 7 bike lengths, but maybe I was like thinking of 48-inch or 48-centimeter frames like mine. There was maybe 7 of those, not the bigger bikes, but I ended up using that as a positive. I stretched my back. I ate some food, I drank, I kind of did the things that you can't quite do when you're down in those drop bars and hammering along. So it was, I mean, I thought about it and I thought, well, it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes, if you blow up on the run, that 5 minutes is nothing. So it's...
And you got to take a relax on a 112-mile bike ride.
Yeah,
just
I
stretch
also,
it
you
out
know,
and-
had to kind of like, I'm a cheater. No. But and I think when I was thinking about that, as a segue, I think the Ironman requires honor. Honoring the time and the effort and the sacrifice of those who helped you, the time that you have put in. And I think it's a really honorable, an honorable quest to get to that finish line. And I think that's why it's life-changing. It really draws on such a deep level. Again, and it's the word that comes to me is it's honorable to allow yourself to push yourself that hard and to push past that.
Yeah, it's one of those things because, you know, obviously, you know, the folks that are in the competitive categories are competing against one another, but they're really the rest of us in the peer group. You know, we're out there to do our best that day, and that's what I really like about triathlons is, you know, everybody's out there. We're all doing the same race, the same course, same hills, the same swim, and you know, we're all going out there to do our best that day. And everybody's kind of like it's a very encouraging sport. You know, like you run next to somebody who is looking down at the ground and shuffling, and you can talk to them for a little bit and kind of maybe get them to focus on the next aid station.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one of the cool things I like about tries.
It is. Well, it's a mindset you go into it with, right? I'm going to give a little back along the way. I want to get as much out of this as I can. But part of that is sort of offering a piece of yourself to the volunteers to say thank you to your fellow competitors, and that totally tricks your body into thinking this isn't such a big deal. Look, you're talking, you're having you're exchanging with it, you're helping somebody. Your body goes, oh, we're not in, it's not fight or flight. It's like relax a little.
It's not 97 degrees in Texas.
No, and this headwind, oh, it's a breeze. Yeah, I think it's you put into it what you want, and I really feel now that because I'm setting this up to be my last Kona, mainly because I'm in really good shape. My body's holding together, and I know I'm seizing this moment. I know it's special. I don't know if I can replicate this. I'm aging up into a new age group next year, and people say, really, didn't you want to wait till that 60 to 64 age group? And I thought, no, I'm ready to go now. And to what you were saying, I'm out there to do my best. And if I come out of the race in Kona and I don't win my age group, I can't see that as a failure. I mean, I'm not setting it up to win my age group. I'm setting it up to be competitive with the women in my age group. But I have a very specific goal. I want to go faster than I went in 1982.
That's amazing.
Isn't that fun? I kind of like that idea that after 35 years, I can actually go faster. I've got better technology, better nutrition, but I've got a stronger mind, a weaker body and a stronger mind, and I think they kind of cancel each other out. So my time in 1982 was 11 hours, 10 minutes, and a few seconds. So I would love to have a 10-minute berth to get down up Palani Hill, which is then under a mile, and to get to be able to do that in 10 minutes, to make the time, to equal the time, and maybe even go a little faster. And where that leaves me in relation...
You have aero bars now, right?
Yes, I have aero bars. Yeah.
That should help.
Yeah, I don't have to change my clothes. I basically wear the same thing throughout the day. There's a lot of pluses, and what I found, I'm a better runner off the bike than I was when I was younger, mainly because I've practiced it a lot.
Yeah.
But in the big picture, I've set it up to be a win-win no matter what.
I mean, tries are one of those discipline things that I think, that's why you'll find. My half Ironman that I did in 2004 was maybe 30 to 45 minutes longer than the half Ironman I just did last year. So it's just something about
very conditional, right?
It's just where you are on that day in your training, and
right.
I think mentally, with an Ironman, there's so many things that could happen that day. Right. That, like you said, 10 minutes and.
Well, how crazy is this? At my time in Oceanside on April 1st, if you doubled it, 3 weeks later, I went faster, doubling it than I did just in my Ironman. But in Oceans, or half Ironman or Oceanside. But there was a huge hill. All of that was on that hill. So
Hills are evil.
okay, we got to wrap this up here. And so, how are you a better husband being an Ironman triathlete?
I think I'm just conscious of that work-life balance, and you have to get this training in, and your family's going to sleep until 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, or 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, so you get up earlier, so you can train, but then still have your Saturday with your family. Or it requires a dialogue, and my wife is awesome, so we always joke. I say awesome wife, awesome life.
I've heard that before. I think it's true.
And and that's why I said, like, we decided for me that I'll register for the Ironman, because it was a choice that I knew was going to be a time drain on family time as well. And you grab workouts when you can, and everybody knows your schedule, so they know they want to be there, and they want to take that vacation to wherever the destination the Ironman is.
Exactly.
And so and they certainly don't want to run it.
No.
So my family has been super supportive, and I think just that open and honest dialogue of setting goals, what you need to get incrementally to achieve those goals, has helped.
And how have you become a better pilot? Through Ironman training.
I'm definitely in better shape than when I entered the Navy. My physical readiness scores have gotten better since Ironman training, and pilot-wise, I think it just goes back to that discipline and that self-assessment that you're always doing. Like, where am I today? That self-assessment we do as pilots, like, okay, what do I have going on in my life that is going to affect this flight that I need to do? Triathlon, what is going on in my life that's going to distract from this running, this training that I'm going to do? And so I think the self-assessment of where you are in a given day before you go flying, or before you go training, or before you show up on race day, is kind of something that's exercised through both professions.
So you're reinforced
Yeah.
for both. Okay, what's your fantasy thing you start craving on a really long ride? You're getting towards the end. What do you start thinking about? I mean, unless it's your wife, and that's a whole nother conversation.
No.
But, what do you think?
Well,
food-wise?
I'm always wondering, am I going to be home in time, or I told her I'd be back, and yes,
Okay, I was thinking more like
But
cold
no.
beverage, something to eat.
So I get sometimes on a long bike ride, I get a case of the foods.
Okay. I haven't heard it put that way. I love it.
And so I'll start, like, a pizza would be amazing right now.
Okay.
So it usually centers around pizza.
Okay, well, what kind of pizza? If you had to have one slice of pizza waiting for you when you cross the finish line.
Grimaldi's from Brooklyn.
Grimaldi's from Brooklyn. Okay, I don't know if they've got anything close, but you're going to be in wine country.
Yep.
I think they've got some good food. They definitely have some good spas.
I'm excited. They're supposed to hand us some beer as we cross
I hope
the
it's
finish line.
yeah, a nice local craft beer.
It is a local beer.
Okay.
So there's a brewery somewhere up in Santa Rosa, and so that's motivation enough.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to
Julie.
let me get to know you, another fellow Ironman.
Thank you,
We
Julie.
say it's Ohana, the Hawaiian word for family, and I do feel like we're in a family. And the last little question: any tattoos in your future?
No, I'm not a tattoo person. I hate needles. So
there you go. Me too.
I'll wear the T-shirt.
There you go.
And I'll put the sticker on the Jeep. But
okay.
no
And
tattoos.
I've got a beer with your name on it. When you get back, I want to hear all about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie.
Okay.